Hi, I'm Enrique Cardona and welcome to another episode of my podcast. So today I'm talking about the recent Disney Plus series as well as being an MCU installment, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, it's been a few months since we saw WandaVision and we thought the direction that the MCU was going was in the multiverse, magic and mystic parts of things, but they still wanted to do the political charge stories. Like, it made a lot of money in the past with their MCU movies like Captain America, Winter Soldier and Civil War. So now that we got another series related to the Captain America stories, except with the Captain America himself, Steve Rogers, we have to ask the question, what is going to be the world without a Captain America? And how our heroes will react into all those things? And what kind of new threats are going to appear? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. So let's talk about the story. After Avengers Endgame and after all the MCU heroes defeated Thanos, Captain America went back in time and became old Captain America. Old Steve Rogers just wanted to live a life of normalcy, and after that he became an old man. So the world had to move on without him. And now that Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes had to move on without him, the question remains, how they're going to do without Steve in their lives? How is Sam going to be a hero and how to live up to the ideals that Steve led him with? And how is Bucky Barnes is going to redeem himself now that he no longer has his best friend from the 40s? So how is he going to redeem his flaws after becoming the Winter Soldier? And how is he going to react now that there's going to be a new Captain America? Which, now that we're talking about the new Captain America, this puts a target in everybody's back because the US government is hunting down these terrorists called the Flag Smashers, who they believe the world was better when 5 years later there was just a snap, and now they want to take back the world. And now that there is a new Captain America, ideologies and friendships are put to the test, and we have to figure out who is going to take the mantle of the new symbol of America. Let's talk about the characters. Now, I want to focus on the new ones before I start on the old ones. So let's talk about the newest Captain America that we got in this series. And that is John F. Walker, played by Wyatt Russell, who is son of Kurt Russell, who played Ego in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 movie. So Wyatt Russell is playing John F. Walker, who in the comics is presented as an anti-hero. So in this series, because people don't know who John F. Walker is, everybody assumed that he was going to be the villain because he was given the mantle of the Captain America. And now he has to live up to the ideals of being a hero, a symbol, and everything. So every time that we see John F. Walker as the new Captain America, we see that he's struggling with being a hero, an inspiration. And every time that he has to fight the Flag Smashers, he questions himself. He questions whether he's I live up to the ideals, that he's actually the hero that he wants to be, or that he has to take another approach. So he's having problems on his own. It's not like he's a man who was chosen, who was insane, and then he became a hero all of a sudden. No, he was a guy who trained for years in order to become a hero. And now that he has a wife and a best friend backing him up, he now has to live up to the ideals of being a hero, as well as being the newest captain. So it's up to him to realize either he's actually doing this for a country or he's doing it for himself, being a hero. It's kind of like the Homelander thing in The Boys, but instead of just being a complete, a douche, he's actually questioning his ideals. And he's actually wanting to redeem himself, even at the cost of his own sanity. And that's kind of effed up if you ask me, but still, he's doing the right thing and his heart is in the right place. And the show doesn't shy away from the grisly moments that he has, but also doesn't shy away of his redeeming qualities. So he has redeeming qualities, just that he doesn't put emphasis on it, and by the end he has to realize of the mistakes he has made. Other characters that we see in this show is Aderepo Okuye, who is playing Sam Wilson's sister, Sarah Wilson, who is a single mother who has 2 kids and wants to sell their father's boat in order to pay the bills. It's kind of like the Spider-Man thing, in which he has to deal with the real life situations as well as combining his situation as a hero. And this show is doing the same thing with Sam and Sarah. They're both trying to find ways to honor their father and to also live a normal life, which is something that will be touched upon when we discuss Sam. Other new characters that we see in this show is Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Valentina Fontaine. Now, she has a cameo in just 2 episodes, but she's basically taking the part of a Nick Fury type. Like, she's looking for heroes or guys with distinct abilities and qualities in order to fight back all the threats. So it's a surprise to see Julia in this kind of show that is very dramatic, and she's always been portrayed as the funny character in every show or sitcom that we saw on TV. But in this case, she's playing a mysterious woman in which you don't know where her loyalties lie. You don't know if she's a good guy or a bad guy. But she's interested in helping John F. Walker with his situation, and she wants him to become different, to be his own man. But we don't know why or the intentions he has. All that we know about her is that she wants to help John F. Walker for her own means, but we don't know which those are. We also get to see Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres, playing Sam's partner in most of the show. He wants to help, and he's also given the fact that he wants to be also like the Falcon, a hero. He wants to fly and everything, and he's given a little tease of what he wants to become in the near future, but he doesn't shy away of fighting into battles. So he's a character in development, if I had to say. Other characters that we never expect to see is Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley. For those who don't know, Carl Lumbly plays Martian Manhunter in the Justice League animated series, and he's always portrayed as this deep, constrained man who always knows what to do. He's acting like a hero, and he looks like a hero. He played heroes in the past in TV shows. So it's a surprise to me to see Carl Lumbly playing this old and bitter character called Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah Bradley in the comics was the second incarnation of Captain America. But in the show, it's kind of alluding he was just a super soldier, but we never saw him in a Captain America costume. But he's saying that he was supposed to be the next Captain America, but the government put him in jail and took away his life. So he's kind of resenting them for that. So this creates an emotional baggage for Sam, that which also we're going to talk about later. But it's important to say his acting is compelling. You can see all the years of bitterness and anger he built up, and he wants his grandson to not follow his steps, who is also playing a character called Elijah Bradley, who is in the comics the Patriot. So another character that we're going to see in the show is going to be built up, and that is the grandson of Isaiah, Elijah. So we have to wait and see what the outcome will be when he learns about his father's history as the super soldier. So we have to wait and see. And then we got the Flag Smashers, who are the villains in this series, a group of terrorists who want to turn the world what it was in the 5 years that people disappeared. And the leader was Erin Kellyman playing Carly Montergo, who had a horrible past, losing her mother as well as her life as it was 5 years ago, or in the duration of the 5 years, and just wants to be helping people. She wants to be the Robin Hood of her generation. The only problem is she's making mistakes and putting aside other lives in order to fulfill her own in this case. So she wants to make more chaos and they ramble or they deconstruct all the countries in the world in order to achieve her goal. And that puts her on a path in which her and Sam had to realize what ideology is right or what ideology is the one that doesn't cause much harm. Now that we see the new characters, let's talk about the old ones because there are important things in the MCU. Starting of course with John St. Pierre as Batroc the Leaper. In my opinion, I wasn't expecting to see Batroc in this series because I thought he died in Winter Soldier, honestly. But the good thing about this show is that they're giving him another chance and he's doing a lot of more underground criminal stuff that we didn't saw in Winter Soldier before, and he's doing much leaping and much fighting, so he's all over the place, so I'm glad to see him back. Other characters that we see in this show is Emily Beckham as Agent 13, aka Sharon Carter. Throughout the course of the movies, we saw Sharon Carter from being an agent to S.H.I.E.L.D. to a power broker. And that's an interesting transformation. She was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. before the whole S.H.I.E.L.D. debacle, becoming Hydra and all of that. Then she became a CIA agent in Captain America Civil War. And now in this series, she's becoming some sort of a power broker. A person who controls, makes deals and all that. And she's helping Sam and Bucky to find out about the Flag Smashers. So it's interesting to see her, and it's interesting to see that she's trying to do other things and that she's not always a good person, but she's trying to be a good person. She's trying to be the master manipulator, and she's trying to do business deals with other people and trying to be like the peacemaker of all things. So it's interesting to see that side of Sharon, which is having more of an edge. So I like that, and I enjoy her performance. And speaking of performance that I enjoy, Daniel Brühl comes back as Baron Zemo. And yes, he's a Baron in the series. So last time that we saw Zemo, he was taking revenge on the Avengers for what happened in Sokovia in Age of Ultron. But now that he was on jail, we thought that he was going to escape and be the bad guy throughout the series. But the marketing just dodged that because you see, they misguided to believe us that he was the bad guy because he was wearing the cool mask that he wore on the comics. He was making the speech that he had a work unfulfilled. The marketing presented him as the main character and the main bad guy, but the show took a spin and actually made him the unlikely ally. Daniel Brühl in this series is just showing sides of him that we didn't saw in Civil War. He was a man wanting revenge and he was doing this master manipulation in the past. But in the end, he wasn't a bad guy like we all thought he was going to be in the series. He was actually doing stuff that he was off moral, but he was actually trying to do the right thing. And he was wanting to help Sam and Bucky to find out about the Flag Smashers and also be a kind of a source of comic relief because he was actually being more natural and more charismatic in this series, and he's doing a dance sequence there and it was just hilarious. Daniel Brühl probably had much fun doing the dance sequence than doing the whole stuff in Civil War. Not a criticism. I actually defend the choice of him being Zemo in Civil War because it was a different take, and I like the master manipulation that he did in the past. So in this series, while he's not doing anything wrong, he's still morally ambiguous, but he's also wanting to do a right thing. After all, he's not a Hydra agent in this series, so what else? Now let's talk about the two titular characters in this series. Let's start with the first one that we saw in the movies, starting with Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, played by Sebastian Stan. And throughout the series, we see his struggles to overcome the past that he had when he was the Winter Soldier, all the people that he killed in the past, all the wrong things he had to do in the name of Hydra, and all the stuff he has to overcome. We see go to therapy, we see trying to hit on girls. Yeah, he hits on girls really fast. He's kind of a charming guy. And he's also butting heads with Sam Wilson in order to find out what's going on with the Flag Smashers, but also having the conflict of not having Steve in his life and also realizing that the world needs a new Captain America. Bucky is actually trying to convince Sam that he should take the mantle. After all, we saw in Avengers Endgame that Steve gave him the shield for that, and he wants Sam to be the new Captain America because he doesn't know where he would be without a captain. He needs someone in his life to live on. He needs someone that can believe in him, and that's something that is gripping upon the Bucky Barnes character. He's trying to overcome the demons he had in the past, but he doesn't know how, and he doesn't have a best friend anymore to tell him about these things. So when he meets Sam and he knows the responsibility that he has, he puts all the emotion and baggage onto him to explain to him what's going on with him, because he wants a friend. Deep down, he wants a friend, even though they argue and do staring contests. So that's kind of funny and intriguing and interesting in the same time. His performance throughout the series is gripping. You can actually feel the emotions he has when he wants to separate himself from the Winter Soldier program, and you want him to succeed. You want him to be fine. You want him to move on, to have a new life, and to be a hero that he should be. And I tell you, he should call himself the White Wolf now and wearing a costume that reflects that. But speaking of characters in this series, let's talk about Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, played by Anthony Mackie. Anthony Mackie playing Sam Wilson in this series gives him a much more gripping story. Now he's a man who wants to be a hero but also be responsible for his past. He has this responsibility of being the next Captain America, but he doesn't know that he's the man of the job. He doubts himself. He doesn't know what to do. And he's a guy who wants to be a guy who knows what to do. So he trains and he butts heads with Bucky in order to become a much better man, to be a hero. And Anthony Mackie's performance, to see him overcome so much adversity in this series, is amazing, as well as inspiring. He wants to be a symbol too, but he doesn't know how, or doesn't know that he is the guy for the job. He believes there are others who are more qualified than him, but he realizes at the end that there was no one else able to do that. So he puts all his efforts and his concentration on training himself, becoming much skilled with the shield. And yes, this series ends with him becoming Captain America. It ends with him turning to the hero he believes in. The man who believes behind the mask, behind the shield. He knows that he has to take the mantle because there is no one else in the world qualified to do it. So he takes the mantle, and we see the costume that he wore on the comics, and it looks fantastic on him. And he knows that he has to take the lead now, or other people will do it for him. And when they do that, they don't do it the right thing, or they don't do it the right way. So he knows he has to take it. So he takes the suit, he takes the shield, and becomes the hero that he was meant to be, and the symbol that this world needs. That's an interesting story, and I loved that I saw that. As far as the cinematography, the effects, as well as the music are really, really good. And I mean that in the way they did it in the Winter Soldier and Civil War movies. They focus a lot on the cinematic version. Unlike any other shows that they have a slight budget, because it's Disney of course, they throw a lot of money into this show, put a lot of effort into the effects, into the production design, the costumes, even the action sequences. They're really top notch. They're really putting this out there, and it's incredible to watch. It's incredible to watch the stuntmen. It's incredible to watch the action, how the choreography is being made. Like I said before, the music is great. They actually bring back Henry Jackman, who did the music for the previous movies, so it's good to have some variety as well as familiar faces to put all the emphasis and the effort in this show. And even though it's not directed by the Russo brothers, they really feel like it was directed by them. And the tone is consistent with the Captain America movies. And like I said before, the suit in Sam Wilson's Captain America is really taken from the comics. It's really top notch, and I actually blown away for how accurate they portray it. It's amazing to watch, and I'm pretty flabbergasted on how well it's been made, how the wings and the shield all fit in the costume. It's amazing to watch. So, if you haven't seen the show and you haven't figured out what's going on, I suggest you stop the video here because there will be spoilers. So, be warned, I'm going to spoil everything that happens in this show, especially in the finale. Now, like I said before, Captain America's identity is adopted by Sam Wilson. He embraces the Captain America figure, and in the end, him, the Winter Soldier, and John F. Walker all go after the Flag Smashers and they stop them. And Carly at the end dies. She dies with her beliefs, but she still feels sorry for what she has done, and in the end, Sam convinces the government to please reconsider their options to see what's going on with the world, what's going on in their countries, the decisions they're making now than before. Let me tell you, he's doing a great speech and it convinces me that he's going to be the next Captain America. So for that, I'd say he has my total approval. In the end, the remaining Flag Smashers were killed by Zemo, and he is alluded to the fact that Valentina Fontaine is going to recruit Zemo into the future. John F. Walker decided to not become Captain America and instead become US agent, which I'm actually excited for. Bucky comes to terms to his Winter Soldier figure, and in the end, Bucky accepts his place. He accepts of his mistakes, he makes amends, and Sam not only helps his sister to save his father's well-being and fortune, as well as the vote that they have in the show, but he also accepts the fact that he's now the new Captain America and he has to lead the next Avengers into the future. And he actually honors the memory of Isaiah Bradley, putting his efforts and his statue into the Captain America Memorial, which is very beautiful to watch. It actually warmed my heart to see that. And both Bucky and Sam are now working together and they're now becoming this unit. Now they're Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But like I said before, I want Bucky Barnes to become the White Wolf and to have a suit that reflects that. And instead of being the Winter Soldier, he can call himself Captain America and the White Wolf. That would be awesome. At the end, it also reveals that Sharon was spared by the government. She's now being accepted into the US country, but it also seems that her business there is not done. She's still the power broker, so she has a lot of businesses to deal with, and we don't know what they are, but we can assume it could be bad. But overall, I'm happy to see her again. So what are your final thoughts on the Captain America and Winter Soldier show? Yeah, I'm calling it, instead of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm calling it Captain America and Winter Soldier, because we have to accept the fact that Sam Wilson is the new Captain America. In fact, there's a rumor going around that he might get a movie about it and make it a full installment into the Captain America movies. And let me tell you, I'm excited. I want to see that. Please, Marvel, make it happen. Overall, this show, like the others, like in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and in Civil War, they focus a lot on the political stuff. how racism is still relevant, because this show really focuses on the racial aspects, the political aspects, how people see a group of terrorists and how their beliefs think there are wars or how they react to it. We see what happens when America tries to, in an ironic way, commercialize the whole Captain America symbolism there, make it about the people, but instead it has selfish reasons. And well, John F. Walker, he's a product of that. But like I said before, he has a redeeming quality. John F. Walker does have a humanity in him. If not, he would have become like the Homelander. He just kills people left and right with no explanation other than he wants to do whatever he wants. John F. Walker is not like that. He just wants to be accepted. And the good thing about the show is that they focus a lot on the commercialism, the patriotic ways, the whole racial aspect, like I said before, the political problems. This show, if anything, is like a commentary on the country, the US country, any country. You can make this assumption that you can talk about this and put it in perception to any country and say, yeah, that happens to us all the time. That's something to not be dismissed. This show really spoke to people about what's going on in our countries and how we should respond, how we should think, how we should react, and more importantly, to be kind to people. This show, if anything, really tries to help the villains, to redeem people who feel they're broken. It's about people who feel like they got nothing in the world, trying to overcome unsurmountable odds and to find ways to cope, to move on, and to be better. That's the show to me in a nutshell. To put the best of humanity in one series. And if anything, if you're not a fan of political stuff, and that's understandable in a point of view, you can still see this show as a great action sequence. And like I said before, still keeping the tone from the Captain America movies consistent. So that's a plus. So I recommend you watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier. The Captain America and the Winter Soldier show. And I hope you get the enjoyment that I got while watching all 6 episodes. Next week, let me try. So next week I'm going to do something different. Now I have talked about art, I have talked about movies and series. Let's try to do something different. In this case, let's talk about wrestling for a change. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, put a link down below, and keep the notifications up. The more you subscribe, the more commentaries I receive, the better. And I can be better in the end. So, I'm Enrique, this is itshenryart, and I'll see you next time.